Hello and welcome, this is Rooflemonger, and this time we have another tips and tricks guide for you, this time detailing Thor, the mighty Mjolnir, the god of thunder. So in this guide we're going to cover his moves as usual, command normals, specials, and supers. I'm going to go over some of his armor properties and detailing his reset game, and Thor has one of the more savage resets games in this game, because you don't even have to really give up any damage for it. So without any further ado, let's get into it. So first, let's go over his command normals, and he has quite a few more command normals than the average character. First one here is forward light punch is the hammer straight. So it's somewhere visually similar to his ascending fierce punch here, as you can see. So it does count as a light, however it does have more hit stun than say your normal light attacks. So its main use is, there could be at the end of a combo, there's a lot of hit stun decay, so you might simply not be able to get out a fierce attack in time, whereas you might be able to get this and finish off your combo. In terms of neutral, is nothing much, there's a lot better tools you have. It's mostly just to end combos with, and for that it is quite good. Now the next one is definitely probably the most fun of the command normals, is Spinning Thunder. That's just forward fierce punch here. So it is a multi-hitting move, so you don't want to be too close here because it can overlap with your throw. But you can see here, if you have trouble, say, hit confirming, well, these 3 extra hits will definitely give you more time for your brain to process that for your combos. But the most fun thing about it is simply this. The Spinning Thunder reflects projectiles. So it can reflect all kinds of projectiles here. So let's be a little quicker on timing there. Even though that was just reality stone, even special moves get reflected just fine. So it can't reflect beams or anything that you normally couldn't push block, but just, it's there. And say you have a very obvious projectile coming your way and your push block timing is suspect, well, this is just a more elegant way just to deal with it up front while looking pretty cool. Next command normal dimension is the lightning swipe. So that's diagonal down forward and fierce punch. And you see here, kind of acts as a sweep. Now, if we turn on our attack data, you will see here this move is a load, just like a sweep. And it's got quite a bit more range than the generic sweep. So from like this range right here, your sweep will miss, while the swipe will not. And from the swipe, you are allowed to go in, like, say, a launcher. Like, you can still continue combos from there. So it's just another chain in your combo string. And, it's pretty much, for most of its purposes, better than the regular sweep. So there you go. Now this guy right here, down and fierce punch in the air to the divine drop, is one of his best moves, just flat out. So it is a heavy attack, does the same damage as a regular jumping heavy punch. It has slightly more hit stun, not a lot more. So at the very end of the combo, you might not get anything more than you would otherwise, but it does have very slightly more hit stun than the regular fierce punch from my playing Thor, that I've noticed anyways. So on top of that, it's good combo fonder because, it's you basically, normally in most combos you're allowed 2 fierces, fierce punch and fierce kick. And for this, it's your 3rd fierce in the air. So that's just a bit more damage for combo, so that's always handy to have. And one of the most important attributes of this guy is it's a cross-up. So the cross-up hitbox isn't the best. You're definitely going to have to aim it. You can't just like Ultron and or Dante just go crazy jumping and land it every time. So you will have to be well aware of your positioning to get the cross up. But it hits in front just fine, and there is a little bit of a dead zone roughly right around here, where depending on what pixel you're on, you can get a cross up or hit in front. So it can make it very visually difficult to ascertain if you're defending which side it's going to hit on. But yeah, it's a good cross up. It really complements the fact that he's an air dasher, because he's the only really big character to have luckily enough to have the 8-way air dash. You're not going to get it like a triangle jump, like you can't do the move being a bit slow to start up. You can't diagonal down forward jump and get the overhead off it. The best you can really do with that is jump light kick. But overall, it's still a fantastic move, and Thor is very great to have this as part of his arsenal. So Thor also has a move called the Mighty Speech. That is just simply down fierce kick, and Thor goes on a big old speech, and he gains bar while doing it. So you never really want to do it much. Like, I don't know if you ever play like an old Dragon Ball game. The concept of powering up in front of someone's face, you're just going to get hit. Same deal here. Certain combos, like say you can end it a bit early, and say like into launch, and you gain a bit of tick while they recover in the air. It's like certainly more than nothing. Especially if your combo is pretty much maximized at that point. But one thing to note here, let's just get the 3 bars just for completion's sake. It's pretty decent for people who have like exceptionally long supers, like good old Dante here. So we do say whatever combo, we tag out, and we just let Thor run his mouth here. And you know, you can get a decent amount of bar here. Like that's good half bar before the super's even over. So, you know, generally you do want to do something in the end of a super with your tag partner, but half a bar is hard to argue if you're a bar starved and say you're very close to that critical 2-bar juncture for a combo breaker. And, you know, it's just something to keep in mind. Now, getting into his special moves, Mighty Spark is one of his most important moves by quite a bit. So, on his face here, just as it is, it's a very active hitbox. All around it is a hittable box, so, you know, it will hit the opponent. Always does 3 hits, and it'll generally do 3 hits even if you don't hit it right at the start because there's so many active frames. It is also a good alternative. Say normally you start your pressure with a air dash, Fierce Punch or something like that. You can also air dash, light punch, Mighty Spark, and get combos from there. Now, one thing right there, I did do light kick into stand Fierce Punch. For some reason, if you start with the light punch Mighty Spark, it doesn't like that, even though it's a natural combo normally. Unless you only get 2 or less hits, if you get all 3 hits, you just can't. I don't know if you can hear that. I was mashing as hard as I could there. You just can't get that Fierce Punch. But alternatively, you don't have to get the Fierce Punch. So you can just go, like, say, air dash and go right into your launcher or something, like if you can hit confirm in that time. But it is an alternative to just, you know, regular air dash Fierce as you're used to. Now, to keep going on the utility of this move, so, and, you know, before I get into this, which I'm sure you're waiting for, but it is also a great thing to use in the middle of a combo airborne. So, say we're just going to launch the foe here, and we're just going to do that, and we're going to use Light Punch Mighty Spark. So you can see here the foe will fall and hit the ground. So the foe will fall and hit the ground usually on the first spark unless you do a lot of hits beforehand, and it's really good just for loops. So you can do a lot of stuff and just, you know, kind of loop it a lot and just keep getting more hits. So it's very easy to cause loop combos, and that's one of Thor's better combo structures is just go for loop lightning, loop lightning, loop lightning, loop lightning, and so forth. Now, to end off here with the Hammer Toss, since, you know, that's one of the big deals. Hammer Toss in and of itself utterly crushes a lot of projectiles. The only downside is you do have to do the spark first, so you got to wait for the animation to start up before you go on the hammer. Now, Thor, at certain angles he can combo from it, but generally speaking, it's just much better just to have your partner go right into it and have your partner get like whatever combo, because they're going to just be ready to go for it way faster than Thor's going to be able to recover, you know? If you're, say, the last guy standing, you lost your partner, unfortunately, I would not really go for many hammer throws unless you really believe in it at that point. Because, like, forget about the hammer, just look at Thor. If that hammer misses, that's how much he's open for. Like, you're going to be dead, pretty much, if it misses without a tag partner. So, Mighty Hurricane, that is the command grab. Comes in both Light Punch and Heavy Punch versions. Light Punch does a little less damage, does 1500. And see, your Heavy Punch does 2400, so quite a bit more. Now, differences here are the Light Punch version comes out much quicker. See here? And the Heavy Punch version, if we whiff, you see quite a bit slower. Although, do keep in mind here, so from roughly around this range, Light Punch will whiff, but Heavy Punch will connect. So it has a bit more forward range. And there is aerial versions of these moves, as you can see here. So you can do the same move in the air. The Light Punch is a bit easier to get combos from. And, you know, getting whatever. Heavy Punch version, you're not going to be able to get too much. The best options would either be you just go into it and you go for your quarter circle forward fierce kick ground pound, which you got to have a little finesse in. You got to be fairly quick. There we go. So you can get that. That's usually your easiest option. Something more difficult would be, say, we go for that Fierce Punch grab, air dash into heavy dive. Now, your timing's going to be a little strict on it here. There we go. And we can get a grounded reset from that. That one you might have to practice a little bit just to get the timing down. But being a big character, command grab is obviously a big part of the game. And especially because, you know, he also has overheads and lows. That makes that command grab a lot more threatening. because now you kind of got like a three-way mix-up. Mighty Smash is a leaping overhead attack that is down, light punch, or heavy punch. The punch determines the distance traveled, and if you hold the move, you actually will get more damage out of it. And see here, it causes 2 hits and a launch. So this is not a move you want to use raw without the concept of tagging behind it. So this is one of those situations where you consider yourself using the old Marvel style of assist. This is where Thor becomes his own assist. So he can do the Mighty Smash and immediately tag out and then go for like a high-low. Obviously, Thor will be hitting overhead, but since we know he's going to hit overhead, you know, you either do a low or you can do an instant overhead yourself if they anticipate to block low-high. And it just lets your, basically, whoever's Thor's partner get a lot of their offense off the ground as Thor takes a second to wind up to get his attack in. Now, Mighty Strike. This is kind of Thor's raison d'etre. This is the reason you pick Thor over another character. That's airborne only, quarter circle forward, light kick or heavy kick. Light kick is horizontal, and heavy kick has a more of an angled approach. Now, one thing about this, first of all, it does have armor, and I'll go through it, the whole armor section for Thor later on here. But what this does is that armor lets you just kind of bully your way in. And this move can also be charged, which is what makes it really fantastic. So in and of itself, like, you know, non-charged versions, you can still get combos, like, that's not a big deal. And the light punch version here is good for taking people out of the sky. But the charged versions are where it's really at. So on top of having that armor, which once again I'll go in more detail a bit later on, the light kick version here causes a wall bounce, no matter where you are. So you had to travel a fair bit to get that wall bounce, but you still managed to get it. So the light kick version you're mostly going to be getting on jumping foes. You can see here, has a bit trouble hitting a grounded foe, and does have a minimum air height. And see here, I'm kind of whiffing it. You can see that light kick come out. There we go. So you're going to be using that to challenge people mostly in the air. Now the heavy kick version, probably the single best move Thor would have. The charge version causes a bit of a bounce, as you can see here, meaning you get a full combo afterwards. So you just go afterwards. Now one thing right there, if you didn't catch it, that did use up the OTG because it was a bit slow. So you can let them hit the ground then combo them, or if you're a little quick, you can hit them before they hit the ground so the OTG is not used up yet. And that's the more preferable of the two options because you might have a combo that needs that OTG. But that said, this is just where he just becomes a giant flying electric ball of pressure. A lot of characters just kind of have to stop what they're doing when Thor starts going crazy on the charges. The only two characters that really don't care would be like Sigma and maybe like Thanos something, because every time they see this, they just go right in their counter move and Thor's going to get bopped for his troubles. But for the most part, you know, a lot of people, they got to really play around this. And the best way to stop Thor before he gets like really crazy, just throwing out charged hammers nonstop, is to rush him down before he even can get the ball rolling. But yeah, this move is just utterly fantastic, and it causes standing resets too, which once again we'll have another own section. So this move will kind of be talked a lot more about later in the video. But all in all, this move is fantastic. Now for Mighty Blow, so that's quarter circle forward, light kick or heavy kick, and they're two very different moves. But what you need to know here, the light kick version is an overhead, so you do have to block that standing, you cannot crouch block it, and the heavy kick version is a low. Now one thing to note about the heavy kick version, it is deceptively long range, so the range is not the hammered like the heavy punch, or the light kick version, sorry, but rather it is that little bit of a shockwave you see here, so it hits from roughly this far away. So you don't need to be right in their face to get it. Although, if you do want to be right in their face, if you're going for a low, you know, light kick into combo is probably the better option. That said, the light punch version, or sorry, light kick version, causes a wall bounce, and depending where you are, so you see here, so if we're right there and the screen's right to his back, you know, it's fairly easy to get a follow-up. But say now we're on this side and the screen's quite far away, you know, getting a follow-up is very difficult unless you want to tag in. But one thing to note here, the light kick version, you can always get the heavy kick version, no matter where you are on the screen as a combo. So even if, say, you do left screen edge here, and they're about as far away from the corner to bounce off as possible, you can still always get that heavy kick version as a follow-up. So it does about 2,000 damage. So you'll never have a wasted opportunity like you can get the light kick version, but oh, you weren't in the right place for the wall bounce. You can always at least get that as your follow-up. And finally, for the specials, Thor does have fly. Not really different than anyone else can fly, Although, if you didn't check the video I have about flight, just handy little note. Thor gets to cheat a little bit compared to most of the characters, as he can pass through a lot of characters very easily. Versus most characters have to go up and around to get past their hitbox. Thor, not so much. Now, for the supers, it's mostly going to be a quick overview. The Hurricane Super is your main combo ender, and depending on how far you are in your damage or your hits and decay, your combo, or rather your Hurricane, can cause the opponent to fall to the ground, and you can get a bit of an OTG. So let's try that one more time here. And see here, you get a bit of an OTG. So if you're doing it mid-screen, you're going to have to like be very quick with your partner to wave dash in or whatever. But it is going to be combo dependent. Certain combos you can get it, certain combos you can't, so that's going to be at your discretion to figure out. Next up is the command throw, and just so you know, the command throw is invincible. So if the foe is sticking out like a reality stone or something, you can grab them before it connects. It does a very good chunk of damage, you can see there. And generally, any situation where you can get the regular command throw, you can absolutely get the super. And the super will do more damage for the most part than even your, say, you get light punch command throw and you can end your combo in super. This level 1 grab super will do more damage than that still anyways. So for all things being equal, and you know, great for pressure as well due to this invincibility, it's just great to really toss out and keep people honest if they're being overly defensive. The level 3, unfortunately, I would say the level 3 is one of the worst in the game. It has very little range, and there's going to be a lot of situations where you just, like, say you're trying to do, I have Mind Stone on right now, so it's probably a poor example, but you're doing like a Storm combo and hit for your free level 3, and in a lot of cases, especially with how Thor's combos work, where he's very airborne most of the time, you're not going to be able to get that level 3 just willy-nilly whenever you want to get it. You know, it's still invincible, it still does a heck of a lot of damage, so it's really good in those respects, but the limited range does kind of hurt it compared to some other characters. Now, I was going to mention armor, so here we are. This section is dedicated to Thor's armor. Thor, being a big character, generally has, you know, more armor than a normal character, to be sure. And he does have the very rare hyper armor, which I'll show in a moment. But first off, I'm just going to go through his armored moves. So first off, if you remember that charged overhead move, that move, we can get a timing here. You see here, it does have armor. Now, does not have hyper armor. Only one of those moves does, so it is just simply, once is, if you're not already familiar, light attacks and projectiles. Now, next up the mention for the armor is Mighty Blow, and specifically that is the Fierce Kick version. The light kick version unfortunately does not have armor. So if you don't recall, that's the low move there. So as you see here, it does have armor during the move, but not heavy armor. So let's go into his dive, which does have heavy armor, so it is a hyper armor move. And now Mighty Strike. This is the one that has the hyper armor, so it can actually go through heavy attacks as well. So of course, you know, you see here, just armor through reality stone just fine. And if we can get our timing correct here, let's try it one more time. See here, I just went for jumping heavy attack, and he's still armored through it just fine. And since he has the hyper armor, that also applies for multiple levels of things. So say we do super, and let's get our timing a bit better. He can even armor through the supers. So hyper armor, armoring through supers, armoring through heavies is incredibly rare in this game, and only a couple of people have it. And Thor has it on his best move. So that is very happy case for Thor to have. This is already going to be your most used and abused move to begin with. And you're, for the most part, fearless while happening. So the one weakness I could say the move has is it can totally be air thrown while it's going on. So it's not going to stop an air throw. And for certain people who have counters, you're making yourself a sitting duck. It's kind of obvious for someone who has a counter. There is no hiding it. The most you can say is the charge up animation. It's ambiguous whether or not it'll be straight forward or diving down. Like, it's not very obvious which one's going to be which. But say you're Sigma and you have a counter. If Thor goes for this and you countered and missed, well, oh well. Like, it's kind of a, you know, no net loss, right? And you can wait for the next one. But barring those counter characters in mind, his move is crazy to use and abuse, and the fact that you will blow through anything and everything. So actually, let's cite a little better example here. Let's take our old friend Iron Man. So Iron Man, we're just going to do the beam super, and we're just going to clear right through it.
Target applied. Here's the big one. Proton cannon.
And you see there, you still took the damage. Don't get me wrong, right? It's not, you're not invincible while happening, but even as something to the scale of that, Thor just doesn't care. The dive is going to bully through everything, and that armor is what makes Thor the character he is. And now to speak on his reset game. So generally in Marvel, if you knock your foe down, they can roll any direction they want, so it makes it very difficult to follow up. Thor can take that ability to roll away from the enemy. All he has to do is simply end the combo with the heavy kick version of his dive, and you see here, they will roll and hit the ground, and that takes away their ability to determine their fate on whether or not they want to roll backwards, forwards, or whatever. So it can be very slightly affected by air control. So say we're going to hit air recovery up forward, and do the same thing here. So you see they bounce in the air a little bit. So the enemy is not dead to rights. They have some say in the matter. But generally speaking, this lets Thor take away the ability of the enemy's defensive options, and he can really apply some pressure. So say, let's take a basic no recovery situation here. And I'm just doing this very short combo for simplicity's sake. You can do this at the end of a very long and elaborate combo as well. Into a command grab. Or let's say we don't want to do a command grab. Let's go back to neutral here. We can go into an overhead. We can go for a low. And I'm doing a bit of a dash. That's just a bad habit, because if you don't space it perfectly, you will have to do a bit of a dash to say get a command grab. But if you do it with very good spacing, you don't even need anything of the like. You can just go right into it. So right there, I didn't have it perfectly spaced, so there was a bit of a dead zone, so that's why I had to do the command grab, or the dash into the command grab. But for the most part, that's just for the command grab. Like stuff like the overhead here, that has so much range you don't even got to bother with dashing forward. You can just kind of crank it right from there, as you can see. And that's just for Thor. So, you know, you can threaten the overhead command grab in the low right afterwards. And we mentioned here earlier about his charge move, and how it's a great opportunity to call in your partner and have them mix up. So the same applies here, absolutely. So say we end with a dive. We go right into it. And then, you know, that's the mix-up right here. So Thor's absolutely going to come above your head with an overhead move. And even if, say, you tech upwards with the air control, he's still going to land on your head no matter what. So that lets you really kind of dictate the pace of, like, you're locked down after this. There's no moment to breathe. There's nothing like that. No matter what you do, if you're, say, going for that charged overhead, Thor is coming on top of you. And then you got to worry about the partner on top of that. So it's very difficult for an enemy to deal with. And then, obviously, if they crack, you get your hit. Leads to another combo and potentially dead character straight from there. So the essence of this simply is you can end pretty much any combo. There's very little combos you could not end with the heavy kick dive. And any heavy kick dive, even with air recovery. So let's try this setup here with air recovery. And we're going to go once again to our up forward. And you can tag in right off the bat. You don't even have to wait. Say your partner has better mix-up options than Thor, but actually, let's just go back to simply what we mentioned before. So here, Thor's going to catch you, right? He teched up. Thor's still going to get him. And from there, like, say you went for a low, and oh well, he was up in the air, so he blocked the Thor overhead. You know, it's still your turn after that. You can still, like, oh, he was in the air, oh well, go for another low, or maybe an instant overhead, or what have you. So that is the essence of that game. Thor, by himself, he doesn't need a partner, he doesn't need a gimmick, he doesn't need any tag-specific setups to cause these resets. He can do this all by himself, and that's what makes him really good. He's probably the pound-for-pound best big character, and this is one of the reasons why. And that concludes our video for now. Before we end off properly, I do want to mention he does have a decent tri-jump game, since he is an 8-way air dash character. He can tri-jump, light kick, and go from there. And due to this, his height's a bit higher than some of the other tri-jump characters. Like, he cannot hit someone from as low to the ground as like Morgan or Ultron could. But due to this, if you just want to, like, say, get in someone's face, jump back, you can tri-jump, or you can air dash over their head and threaten with a Power Stone. They can, you know, decent little mix up in and of itself, and thus, you know, since he has the air dash, and he does have a cross-up, but the down Fierce Punch in the air is a bit finicky on the range. Instant dash over Power Stone is definitely a much faster, much more easier to get version than just, you know, hoping you pick the correct range to cross up with that. So if you want to threaten, you can, from this range, you can threaten tri-jump light kick into full combo, or just instant air dash overhead into Power Stone and get full combo from there. But anyways, that's just a little tidbit to try out for Thor if you want to try out the Power Stone. I hope this video found you well. Thank you very much for watching. Go out and play some Marvel.